Hey, this is Leon Poe, man. You listening to Causeway Street Podcast.
What's up, y'all? This is Kenny Anderson. Y'all listen to the Causeway Street Podcast.
For all you new listeners out there, I'm your host, Josue Pavone. I'm joined as usual by my two co-hosts.
I'm Sean Dutra. What's up?
Yeah,
like
talk
long
about
walks
yourself.
on the bee.
There you go. Joel Pavone. What up?
I'm a Pisces. The most romantic.
It leads off with that.
The most romantic sign in all the zodiac.
Oh.
If you couldn't tell by my voice already.
Oh.
Sexy.
But I'm the producer of this ensemble that we call Causeway Street. In case you missed it.
Hey, Bill Walton here, Celtics 1986. You're listening to the Causeway Street Podcast. Yeah, come here for nothing but the truth. This is where dreams come true. Thank you, Boston, for my life.
Where are we going?
You guys are such homers.
It's your boy Terry Rozier. You're listening to the Causeway Street Podcast. Now listen to my boys Joe, Sway, Joel, and Sean.
Not trying to see the Celtics lock in Marcus Smart for $16, $17 million. See you later, Smart. Forget it. Back with another edition of the Causeway Street Podcast. The Pavone brothers are back in the house. No Sean Dutra. And no Celtics going to the NBA Finals. But you already knew that, obviously. Celtics fell to the Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 7 at TD Garden. LeBron James led the way, of course. What else is new? Jeff Green got some time in, balling up, 19 points, making up for the production that Kevin Love didn't provide throughout most of the series.
Uncle Jeff.
You know what? It actually worked out better this way because they were able to not only switch him defensively on guys on the wing for the Celtics, but just sped things up a bit. You know, I just felt like they just looked better with him in the starting lineup. So we'll see what happens in the NBA Finals. The Celtics, of course, are on vacation now. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We'll also get into what a friend of the show said earlier this week, Mr. Antoine Walker, talking about LeBron James' number one option should be the Celtics as he heads into free agency, of course, after the NBA Finals. But that's just how much people are so excited for this NBA Finals. You know, they're already talking about where's LeBron going to go next after he loses to the Golden State Warriors, what pretty much everyone's assuming. So
They've been talking about that since like the playoffs started. So
yeah. So the conversation is just now heating up even more, even though we're on the verge of seeing the fourth battle, or it feels like the 15th battle between the Warriors and the Cavaliers. Once again, is what we got in the NBA Finals. Can't say I'm very surprised. However, I did think midway through the Eastern Conference Finals that we probably would see a different outcome. But there you are. I know you guys are excited about it. NBA fans, especially non-NBA fans, they've been like the most vocal about how upset they are to see these two teams go at it for the fourth consecutive time. First time in professional sports history that two teams face each other 4 consecutive times in the championship round. But that's what we got. We'll talk about it a little bit, not a lot. We'll get more into it, when the series starts up. Hopefully we'll have some crazy matchup, crazy game. But hey, we could be wrong. I don't know. We'll break it down. We'll get into that. And we'll also have to get into another free agent that may not be grabbing as many headlines as LeBron James, but around these parts, Marcus Smart, that's a name you'll have to get used to hearing until the beginning of free agency. He says he's worth more than $15 million, Joel. He doesn't know where this, what is it, $12 to $14 million range, which is what I had in store for him. That's the ideal situation I saw him signing for.
It came from him.
It did come from him, but you know what?
He's pretending like he doesn't remember or he doesn't know where this magical 12 to 14 mil came from.
Yeah, but
it came from him.
You know what he's trying to say, though. He's saying that's what the Celtics put on the table mid-season, and he said, how about you guys go fuck yourself? I'm worth more than that. And even after the season he had, where he not only his emotions got the best of him, but
just
he
moments after Game 7.
He put this team. Well, no, I'm talking about mid-season.
Oh.
He put this team in a tough spot by getting upset about some IG model and hurting his hand and nearly cost himself the entire season. So
he didn't hurt the team. He hurt his value
and himself. But
yeah,
he did.
Obviously, he hurt himself because of his hand, but he did hurt his value too.
But yeah, in more ways than one. But my whole point is, listen, if you're gonna have that type of season and then you come back and let's face it, he did give the Celtics quite a boost. But I don't know, over $15 million We'll get more into that. But first things first, let's go back to Game 7. Joel, how disappointed are you about this loss? I mean, I've heard every angle at this point. The Celtics should have did this. The Celtics should have did that. How did the Cavs were able to do this? My whole thing is, and I'll continue to say this, and you know what? If you don't agree with me, you can go off in the comment section. I don't care, because at the end of the day, the way that fourth quarter played itself out, those final few minutes where Terry Rozier was jacking threes, Marcus Morris was jacking threes, Al Horford jacked up a three. All open, by the way. All great looks. All three of those guys had an opportunity to slice that deficit at least down to 1 point when they got it down to 4. And the shots didn't fall. The shots didn't go through the hoop. They didn't fall when they needed it most. I know we've seen the story time and time again. So my whole thing about it is, why is everyone so like, oh, why didn't they go inside? Oh, why didn't they do something different? The threes obviously weren't working. Oh, you mean the formula that got them there to begin with? How many games did we see the Celtics do that and they came out on top because of that? And just because they don't fall, all of a sudden, oh, those are stupid shots. That's a dumb shot. Come on. Get out of here. That's not a stupid shot, because if it goes in, it's not stupid, right? It's not ballsy shots if they go in.
Sway. They shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, because number one, all season long, yeah, those threes are falling, but it just seemed like they weren't in control from the moment they lost their lead in the second quarter when they were up 12. It never seemed like they were in control the rest of the way. And it felt like those shots were forced.
Yeah, the third quarter was different. Yeah. Okay, I'm with you on that. But okay, did you ever think that, oh, this game is over? This game is done? No, but listen. They hung around.
Okay. In the fourth quarter, 8 minutes left. Cavs are in the penalty. And guess what else? LeBron James has his fourth foul. Why weren't they taking him more to the rack and getting to the free throw line? Marcus Smart, the 2 times that he actually did that, he made it to the free throw line.
Okay, well, what happened when Terry Rozier went in?
What do you mean?
When he went inside, what happened?
Oh, that was a fast break thing.
He got his shit punched, man.
He got fouled. He got fouled. That was all hand. You remember that. Come on.
Regardless, man, the outcome wasn't pretty. And that's going to stick in your head a bit, especially when you're that age, when you've never been on this stage before, and you're minutes away from trying to make it to the NBA Finals against LeBron James, the best player in the world.
But LeBron didn't beat the Celtics, in my opinion. If you read my piece on CauseWayStreet.com, Jeff Green went off. J.R. Smith went off. Two guys that were dormant during the rest of the series.
Yeah, but LeBron is
but that's fine. LeBron, but they only won by 8 points.
Common denominator.
No, it doesn't matter, because LeBron went off for 42 in game 2, and who won that game?
Yeah, but he was responsible for he was responsible for 10 of the last 14 points scored for the Cavaliers.
Okay, so then you're telling me they lost in the 4 minutes? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm telling you that the Celtics. Well, essentially. Yeah, I guess if you put it that way, in those last 4 or 5 minutes, the Celtics make those shots. If they're able to, slow down LeBron, whether it's him scoring or him finding open guys, yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so then Rozier missing those 3 or 4 3-pointers. What about the other 6 he took? What about Jaylen Brown's other 7 or 8 3-pointers he took that he missed? It wasn't just in those 4 minutes. I'm talking about the stuff leading up to that. Between the midway through the second and those last 4 minutes of the fourth, they executed poorly, something that they hadn't done since maybe game 4 against Milwaukee in the first round. You would have thought that they would have figured out, all right, in tight situations, we got to play smarter. We got to move the ball. We can't just come down the court with 18 seconds left and just chuck a 3, which seemed like that towards the end. I'm not saying the whole game. I don't feel like the game was lost in the second quarter. All I'm saying is that stretch between the middle of the second and the last 4 minutes of the fourth could have been played completely different. They could have put the ball more in Al Horford's hands. How many times did we talk about Al Horford's touches?
And we saw that in the first half.
We saw it in the first half.
A lot of that.
We saw a lot of that. Alley-oops. That play was flawless. Jason Tatum, after that dunk on LeBron James, he didn't touch the ball for the next 5 minutes of that game.
See, my whole thing is I would have liked to see just a couple more ISO plays for Jason Tatum. But at the end of the day, though, what happens at the end of the fourth quarter for the Celtics team, especially throughout this postseason? The ball moves around. It gets shared. Exactly. But you don't see the ISO stagnant ball. But you don't see, set up a play for Tatum where he was obviously the best player on the floor for the Celtics.
Marcus Smart, besides trucking up a lot of threes, he didn't have a terrible game because he didn't have any turnovers, which was good. He had 7 assists, and he had 4 rebounds and 2 important offensive rebounds. But The rest of the guards, the guard play in that game was awful.
Yeah, well, Rozier played the worst game of the postseason.
Was awful.
Obviously, that means it was the worst play. It was his worst game,
and that's
his worst game at home, because I don't think he's even had one bad game throughout those first 9 home games throughout the postseason. It was the number 10 where he failed to show up when they needed him most, and it was the first home loss throughout the postseason for the Celtics.
And ironically enough, just 48 hours before that, Rozier and Brown combined for like 57 points.
See, that's the thing. After Game 6, I was like, yo, you just wasted that performance out of Rozier, because 1, it's on the road, and 2, I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to duplicate that in 2 more days.
The Celtics shot about 34% in Game 7, and they still could have won the game.
Did they get tired out?
Winnable.
Was it fatigue?
It might have been mental fatigue. I don't know about physical fatigue, because
I don't want to hear that, man. Mental toughness.
You know what? That's what I'm saying.
That's what this team's about.
That's what this team's about. Exactly. Because at least I thought they figured that out in the first 2 rounds, that they're not afraid of the moment. And after Game 6, where they shot over 50%, they shot well. They just didn't shoot enough, I guess. I mean, Al Horford didn't get enough touches that game. Outside of Rozier and Brown, ironically, the 2 that didn't have a good game in Game 7 were the only ones shooting lights out from outside and beyond the 3-point line. So, fast forward to Game 7, I think it was Rozier. I mean, Rozier was out for a lot of that fourth quarter.
As he should have been, yeah.
So, when he comes back in, trying to hit home runs instead of the singles. We've been talking about this.
But don't you think that's what Brad Stevens was kind of wanted out of him? Because think about it. You're not going to put him back in if you don't. It's like, hey, Rozier, I've been benching you because you just missed like 9 straight shots. But I'm going to put you back in, but don't shoot. Like, obviously, he put him back in because he said, look, you got your breather. You got to regroup for a second. Go ahead, because at the end of the day, Rozier is the type of shooter, which is what I like about him. He can miss 15 in a row, and he's going to feel confident about that 16th one. And that's the kind of confidence you want out of your guy, especially in Game 7, in the last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and so then you can even actually put a little bit on Brad Stevens as well on some of the moves he made in that fourth quarter, where maybe you don't keep Rozier out for that long, and if you were going to keep him out for that long,
keep him out for good.
Keep him out for good.
Yeah.
Keep him out for good, and say, you know what, Smart, I'm riding with you.
Because if you put him back in, like I said, you're giving him the green light.
Yeah,
you're saying, okay,
go do your thing.
You got your rest.
Yeah.
Go nuts.
Yeah.
You take the shot that you think best fit. And one play in particular that stood out to me was Horford got a really good look. Wait, was it Horford? It might have been Morris. One of those 2. Those 3.
I feel like it was Morris. I think I know
3-pointers that those 3 guys took. I just felt like if you make one of them, that's a momentum changer right there. They missed all 3, but I want to say it was Morris. Rozier got the offensive rebound, second chance opportunity, dishes it back out. They work the ball around, ends up in Rozier's hand, dead in the corner, wide open, a shot that he's made so many times since the beginning of the postseason, and it just didn't fall. And then that's when it started hitting me. I was like, this is not going to happen. This might be it. You know, Cavs go back, fast break opportunity. Like a 3-point play here, a 3-pointer there. LeBron found, I think it was your boy JR in the corner. No, I think it was Jeff Green, actually.
It was Jeff Green.
Yeah, Jeff Green. That was a big one.
The only 3 he hit it all game.
Yeah, that was a big one. And that was it. But then I also midway through, not that I didn't feel good about it, but I was just like, this is going to be their toughest challenge. I mean, I guess that's kind of stating the obvious, but I just feel like what made the pressure much heavier than we've seen since the first round against the Bucks was the fact that A, they're at home, B, they
hadn't lost.
Right. Well, they hadn't lost, but no, I was going to say B, they were in it for the last 4 minutes, but they didn't have the lead.
Yeah.
If you look at the last, I don't know but since after the Bucks series, they've always had a legitimate cushion at that point in the fourth quarter, even against Philadelphia in Game 5. Remember Game 5?
Yeah, no, but especially against Cleveland.
Right, especially against Cleveland.
In games
it wasn't even close in games 1 and 2.
2 and 5.
And 5, yeah.
They're right. They did. But again, even being down by about, I think it was down 7 at like the 4-minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. And they did cut it down to 4, but at that point,
that's the closest they got.
At that point, you're like, all right, now time is starting to be a factor. They're not hitting their threes, but then all of a sudden you're like, but why are they going away from Jason Tatum? That's on Brad Stevens. Mm-hmm. And I think they called their last timeout, and there was either 3.5 or like 3 minutes left. That was their last timeout. So for the next 3 minutes, unless there's a foul called or Cleveland calls a timeout, you're just like, all right, the last thing I told you guys to do, it's on you guys. So maybe timeout management or certain plays being ran or substitutions. Again, I know Brad has been through 2 Game 7s, right? Washington last year, Milwaukee this year. But he's never been in a Game 7 for a chance to go to finals. He's a rookie in that aspect. Tyronn Lue done it already, regardless of who's on the roster for the Cavs. But for the Celtics, I mean, they wanted it. Obviously, they wanted it. You can't sit there and say like, oh no, they didn't want it.
Or I would never say they didn't want it enough.
They deserve to be there. They're still, in my opinion, still were the better team. But when the lights were at their brightest, they wet the bed. The guards wet the bed, especially. And it's not like they didn't have enough horses. You know how in other situations they're like, oh man, they just ran out of guys. No, they had the horses. The horses didn't want to run. You
were disappointed, huh?
I was pissed.
You're very upset.
I'm still pissed.
I don't look at it as like the way your article put it, a golden opportunity. I mean, okay, yeah, it was. Okay, all right.
It's a golden opportunity for these young Celtics.
Let me think about it. Let me rephrase this. It's a golden opportunity, but I don't see it as much as a disappointment as most people do, or as much as maybe I should, just because I just feel like in that situation, that was the best you're gonna get.
No, see,
because listen, okay, you can talk about Brad Stevens should have did this, and you could have set up Tatum this way or that way, but like the way that those last few minutes played itself out, the way the offense played itself out in those final minutes when they cut it down to 4. That's what they've been doing all year long, ever since Kyrie Irving's been out of the mix. And that's when you say to yourself, man, Kyrie Irving, you put that scenario in Kyrie Irving's hands, 4-point game, X amount of minutes left on the clock, ticket to the NBA Finals. That's why you're not in the NBA Finals, because you Celtics don't have Kyrie Irving, man. Kyrie Irving is that guy.
I get it, but if it was,
there's no closer on this team. There's no closer.
I get it, but if they had lost in the second round, or even if they got swept by the Cavs, I agree with you. I'd agree with you. They were up 2-0 in this series. Then they were up 3-2. They seem like the more dominant.
Yeah, but we've seen the more dominant
roster. I know we've seen it before, but
even with closers.
But that's why it's a golden opportunity, because you had a chance to knock out LeBron James from going to his 8th straight finals, possibly leaving Cleveland for a second time. Last time Boston did that, we know how that ended, right? And because without Kyrie Irving, without Gordon Hayward, they still figured it out. But it wasn't just one guy that was dominating on a nightly basis. Celtics didn't even have a 20-point scorer throughout their whole playoff run. Jason Tatum led the way with 18.5. And then Jaylen Brown at 18 even. I could go down the list. Rozier at 16, Horford at 15. Those 4 guys, like if those 4 guys... But
that's what I'm saying. You don't have a closer. You don't have a closer. You have guys like that who you get their opportunities. And like the same 3 guys I just mentioned, they all got their opportunities to hit the big shots, and they didn't go in. I mean, I don't know. I just think it boils down to that. You want to call it a choke, or they didn't live up to the moment? I don't know if I'm ready to say that. I don't know if they choked, but I don't know. They kind of choked. They choked.
When I say
fault them for it.
That's what I'm saying. When I say wet the bed, to me a choke job is different than wetting the bed, because a choke job is you just didn't show up. In my opinion, wetting the bed is
you buckled under pressure.
Yeah, thank you. Something forced you to make a different decision than what you would have normally have done if this was Game 6 or Game 5.
You Chris Webber did.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're like a deer in the headlights at certain points of the game, or at the most crucial point of the game when you're, like you said, you're down 4, a couple minutes left, and you stop taking it to the hoop. You stop taking it to LeBron. I mean, you can't even blame the refs in this one. I think the refs they called it pretty even.
No, they did it. Yeah.
And that was probably, other than Game 2, in my opinion, that was probably the most balanced ref game of the series. And that's saying a lot, because we saw how they refed in Cleveland. And again, I don't like to talk about the refs, but I mean, it's not like a lot of games in Cleveland were close. Maybe Game 6 because they shot so well and they only lost by, 9?
I think one thing that bothers me the most about how this series ended is the narrative surrounding LeBron James.
That's another part of my piece.
Oh, LeBron James, what an amazing feat.
He was the ultimate underdog when everybody said he couldn't do it. When everyone doubted LeBron James and the Cavaliers, here they go and they proved the doubters wrong. What doubters? The Celtics weren't the favorites in the series. The one time that they were favorites in the series was Game 7. They were 2-point favorites.
Yeah.
2-point favorites. And they were 10-0 and 10-0 at home. And if that was the only thing that the Celtics were banking on, then the media's narrative, for the most part, was, I don't know, Celtics haven't lost at home, the completely different team at home, Scary Terry, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And then LeBron wins, and it's like, oh, he's the greatest of all time now.
Yeah, greatest of all time.
What a feat. This might be a bigger accomplishment than him actually winning a championship. Bringing I actually heard this what I'm about to say, this quote. LeBron literally dragged a bunch of corpse into the finals.
Yeah, but what happens if the Celtics win? If the Celtics win, it's, he didn't have enough help.
We didn't have enough help.
Oh.
Yeah. Just like the same thing it was every time the Celtics beat him in the first stint in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right? In 08? No, I'm sorry. In 07, even though he decimated the Pistons in 6 games. Right? He gets to the finals, gets swept, averages 17, 18 points in that series against San Antonio. Got shitted on. Well, he didn't have enough help. But it was amazing what he did against Detroit, though, right?
Right.
In 2008, the midseason trade that brought his friend Delonte to the team, the defending Eastern Conference champions lose in the second round to the Celtics in a heartbreaking Game 7 loss where Paul Pierce and LeBron dueled all game long. 41 for Pierce and 45 for LeBron. But he didn't have enough help, though. So then they...
Oh, but if he won it, he dethroned the big three. He ended their run the very first year. Exactly. It would have been a completely different story.
But in 2009, they re-up, hoping and preparing to play for the Celtics.
Joe's going to go through a history lesson, huh?
They got shattered on by Orlando. And then what happened again? LeBron needed help. In the Eastern Conference Finals, LeBron needed help. Even though they never wanted to admit that they were waiting for the Celtics, not Orlando. They were prepared to play the Celtics. And in 2010, same thing, second round. We all know how that ended. But again, 65 wins, but he still needed help, though, Sway. He needed help. So then which is it?
Yeah.
Which is it? He needed help. The teams, he plays with a bunch of scrubs. He beat the Celtics, who were the better team. Or LeBron did what he was supposed to do because he needed to average over 35 points or near 35 points to beat the Celtics by 8 in Game 7.
So after the trophy ceremony, Ty Lue it's his turn to go to the podium, and he comes in. And granted, the place wasn't as packed as it usually is. People were kind of just like lingering around or whatever. And he literally turns the corner and sees how many reporters are sitting waiting for him. And he just goes, he laughs. He goes, "Where's everybody at, huh? Well, now nobody's here, huh?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, insinuating that had they have lost, the place would have been packed. Which in some cases is true. Yeah, I agree with that. But at the same time, it's like, come on, Ty Lue. Don't make it sound like you guys are the underdog.
That's what I'm saying. Ty Lue, he's drinking his own Kool-Aid. He's drinking the LeBron Kool-Aid now. Yeah. He lets and I bet you him more than LeBron even. They listen to the media. They listen to the quotes. They read the quotes. They read what's on Twitter. Or at least he does. I'm talking about Ty Lue. Yeah. And when he's asked something that he doesn't like, that's how he snaps back. Oh, you guys, this is what you guys are waiting for because it sells, headline sells. Right. Don't even sit there and say that you knew for a fact that Jeff Green was going to go off for 19 points because you're full of shit. You're full of shit. You went like this between Larry Nance and Jeff Green. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by the... All right, we're going to go with Jeff Green today. And that's exactly what he did. You're not going to sit there and tell me that you knew that Jeff Green was going to go off like that in 2 straight games when he was averaging barely 7 points in the first 5. And me and you, Sway, we're talking about how that was a great pickup for the Cavs when the season started.
Well, yeah, that, and then also the fact that heading into the series, we're like, he's been your only reliable reserve.
Yeah, he was the only consistent.
The only consistent one.
7 point
scorer. As bad as those numbers sound for a team that's that's heading into the finals. I mean, shit, they have a starting shooting guard who in 2 games combined for a point, and J.R. Smith 1 point. And
then he finally makes more than 1 3-pointer in Game 7. So that's what annoys me the most. LeBron's going to be LeBron. We already know that. But the Celtics already proved that they can beat LeBron, even if he goes off for a triple-double, if the rest of the guys don't go off.
Whoa.
No, and when I say go off, I don't mean like another 20-point scorer. What did I say on our last podcast? That LeBron, other than him going off with between 35 to 40 points, he needs at least 2 more double-digit scorers. And that could mean 10 points or 19 points. And that's exactly what happened. So that's what gets me. Call me old-fashioned, but LeBron did what he was supposed to do, giving the squad that he has, but the Celtics let Jeff Green go off back-to-back games, and you let J.R. Smith beat you. That's just my opinion.
So how many games are the Warriors going to win this in?
3.
They're just not going to show up for game 4?
Yeah, they're just going to forfeit in game 4.
They're going to be like, you know what, we're going to start our pitch to try to keep LeBron in town.
We're going to take our participation trophy for making it to the finals.
We're going to start putting trade offers in to try to beefing up this roster as much as we can.
My favorite destination for LeBron since he's won is Houston. Ever since Game 7, the end of Game 7, and so the next 24 hours, so from when the Celtics lost all the way to when Houston lost, now the narrative is like, yo, LeBron should go to Houston. Forget LA, forget Philly. He should go to Houston because Houston is one LeBron James away from possibly beating the Warriors.
Yeah.
That's the only person that's beat the Warriors. It's LeBron James.
But the thing about that is the money gets tricky. It's like you got to figure out a way. You got to find some sucker to take a Ryan Anderson with a fuckload of dough left on his contract, and you got to find a way to figure out what you're gonna do between Capella and Chris Paul. I mean,
or Capella.
These are important pieces, especially Capella. Capella made all the difference in my opinion. Kept that game close in Game 7, or relatively close until Steph Curry went off, and then Kevin Durant joined him shortly afterwards. Which is, by the way, when those two are doing that, there isn't a team in the world that can stop them, in my opinion. So when that happens, that happens. But and throughout the series, Capella was very important for this team, and I think he's a guy that can be a pillar, but he's going to command a lot of dough. So I don't know. I'd be really surprised if they can somehow retain his services.
Well, if CP3 is really serious about winning a championship, I think he's made his money. I think those State Farm commercials.
Oh man,
he's getting paid well for those.
You better take your $8 million or whatever you want to take. You better take that. And so then minimum just to create some space, because let's face it, this is it. I mean, if you get one more chance, that's if you can stay healthy. Shit, they need to bring his games during the regular season down to like 40 tops, which is another thing. I mean, what he missed 20 games this year?
I think close. Yeah.
Why would you play him so much? Even Doc Rivers from afar was just like, that's a terrible decision. Doc Rivers, the king of resting your veterans, must have been like, why are you playing him so much?
Well, that's another reason why, I don't believe in D'Antoni's system. And trust me, Sway, you remember when the run and gun Suns were like in the Western Conference Finals almost every season when he was at the helm with Steve Nash. And then just after a while, I was like, this system doesn't work. Of running crazy, shooting threes like there's no tomorrow, and only playing 6-7 guys tops. When you knew Chris Paul wasn't going to play in Game 6, it's time to like we said it before the series started. It's time to do something that I'm not comfortable with, and that's actually using the other fucking 6 or 7 guys on the bench that are waiting to play.
What'd you think about Brad Stevens doing that 7-man rotation? Which is something that came to my mind. Something that came to mind in me was when this game was either going into the fourth quarter or I think the first couple of minutes of the fourth quarter. And I looked down at the numbers and I'm like, man, Rozier's already over 30 minutes right now. You know what I mean? Like down the stretch, which is why I think obviously his play had more to do with it, but the minutes were stacking up. And I think that was kind of like the point where Brad Stevens was like, all right, he has to sit regardless. I'm going to try to figure out if I'm going to put him back in or not, but see how the game plays itself out. Marcus Smart was well over 30 at that point. I mean, all these guys were either around or over 30. The whole rotation, pretty much. The whole 7-man rotation.
I tweeted through the Causeway Street Twitter, at Causeway Street, when the fourth quarter started. Well, actually, when the third quarter ended, I thought that the Celtics going to use a little bit of Baines to start the quarter. But we didn't see Baines for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I thought that would have given either Horford or Morris a blow. I think Morris was at that point too.
Yeah,
and not that he had a horrible game, but it was a so-so shooting game for him. And I thought you either one of those two guys you get a blow and then you You use up Baines' fouls. And then bring in Horford, bring in Morris, and see what happens. Because Horford only took 2 3-pointers and made 1. That's low for him, especially at home.
Yeah.
During this playoff run.
Well, LeBron James didn't need any breather. The whole 48, he played the entire game. But where's he going to play next season? That's the big question for this summer. Even throughout this NBA Finals matchup, where is he going to go? Antoine Walker says he needs to pull a Kevin Durant and says that he needs to join the best. The Boston Celtics are the best in the East, according to Antoine Walker.
Now, you're going to think I'm crazy, but if I was him, if I'm going to Boston. I'm going to Boston. Yeah, I'm going to Boston. I mean, Kevin Durant did it.
Yes.
Kevin Durant joined the best, and if the best team in the Eastern Conference right now would be the Boston Celtics.
I like it.
I will figure out a way to get to Boston if I'm LeBron James. Wow. And even the playing field.
Another hot take for Antoine,
seeing LeBron James in green and white, man. I mean, first of all, he wouldn't be able to wear either of those numbers that he used to wear or that he's worn throughout his entire career, just to start with that. But also, how would the Celtics even make this work? Are you comfortable with this happening, Joel? If so, how does it happen? And also, what happens with Kyrie Irving? Because you know damn well Kyrie Irving will be the first one to be in Ainge's office saying, no, hell no, absolutely not. I'm not down with this. Either trade me or figure something out or don't do this at all, because there is no way, mark my words, that these two will play together. No way. They're not playing together again after what happened in Cleveland. Kyrie's not having any of it.
If the breakup was amicable, that they both were like, all right, we'll go our separate ways or whatever, then sure, Danny, try to go after him. I don't think you're going to pull it off, but so there's that. And then if they had a better relationship, then I think it would work. I think he would fit in Brad Stevens' system.
Oh, yeah. There's no question he would work, but I just don't see those two joining forces again.
Yeah, I mean, if they were cool with each other, then yeah, it would work. But they're not, though.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. It's just, I don't think Danny would waste his time.
Would you consider, if you're the Celtics, obviously, would you consider trading Kyrie Irving?
To have LeBron James sign? No, I wouldn't.
No?
No.
The Game 7 put that conversation to bed about Rozier being the starting point guard of this team, and
no, it's just I just think
and sending Irving on his way.
How many times in the Brad Stevens era, this is the 3rd time now in 4 seasons that LeBron has beat you in the playoffs, and then you're gonna go and sign him? I don't know. That's kind of weird. I don't think Danny would do that.
It's a Kevin Durant move.
No, it's a Kevin Durant move if Celtics go and pursue him. But if the Celtics don't pursue him, I don't think LeBron is calling up Danny saying, "Hey, so
oh no, LeBron's not gonna call up anybody."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's how it works, though. The Celtics have to be the ones to initiate the conversation.
I don't think he's gonna initiate it. Ainge's gonna initiate that kind of conversation.
I'm still thinking about Philly. I'm still thinking that these two, the rivals are gonna the rivalry's gonna continue, and he's gonna be in Philly. I'm still with that. Yeah, because I don't see it either. I just don't see a way where the Celtics would want to pursue LeBron James, make the space, trade away the guys, ruin the core or ruin the chemistry just to appease someone like LeBron who, okay, sure, he's still performing at a high level. One of the best playoff performances of his career. But you risk the other guys not developing the way they would have. You risk switching things up, the chemistry wise, the locker room, the what they built last season, especially with Kyrie Irving as the leader, and you risk you lose Kyrie Irving. There's no way these two are going to patch things up, and Kyrie's going to say, "Yeah, I finally got my wish. I finally found a situation where I'm happier than I could ever be in any other situation." Okay. I didn't even get a chance to lead this team the way I wanted to, but sure, bring LeBron over. Let's just start this whole thing over again. We've done it before. Like, this is not going to work. And for people who were skeptical about this, nor will LeBron James ever join a team where he says, "You know what, Kyrie, this is your squad." You're gonna lead this
know,
squad,
but that's why-
and I'm gonna ride in your coattails.
That's why it was a dumb take by Antoine. I mean, Antoine
He's
said
not-
that Philly was going to beat the Celtics in 4 games.
Yeah,
straight.
yeah. You know, Twan,
Yeah.
I like you and everything, but yeah,
we gotta have him back on though.
I'm not crazy about it. Obviously, I'm not crazy about the take, but we do have to talk about it because it's an interesting conversation. It's obviously something that, from the outside looking in, it does make sense for LeBron James. You know,
I think it was more in case you missed it, worthy, but
I mean, listen, this isn't the end of this. This is just the beginning.
no. What LeBron coming to Boston?
Yes.
No, Sway. Come
Do
on.
you remember the teams that were out there in 2010?
That was
Oh, he's
2000
going to New
That was
York.
2010,
Oh, he's going
though.
to Houston. Was brought up back then as well. He's going to Philly. He's going to Miami, and we all laughed at Miami. You know, like
The only team that intrigues me, like I said over the last few days, has been Houston. Like if Houston could pull that off, that's an interesting place for him to go. Number one, gets him out of the East. He becomes the Warriors' problem, not the East's problem anymore. And if you happen to meet up with him in the finals, great, so be it. But you're in the finals at least. If you're a member of the Celtics, you don't have to worry about him anymore. Great, that monkey's off of their back at least through the East. Like we talked about this last episode. Realistically, how many more years does LeBron have? I don't know. I can't even answer that question. Because I don't know if you saw after Game 7. I don't know if you walked up in the Cavs little celebration.
I did.
But this dude looked more. This dude was more iced up than I've ever seen Kevin Garnett ever iced up while he was here in Boston.
That's saying a lot.
Knees, his crotch, his back,
Crotch.
holding it on his crotch.
Jeez.
Both his knees. So these are all separate bags. Obviously, it's not one big ass bag. Just so those are like, oh my god, that must have been a big ass bag. No, separate ice bags on each knee, on his crotch, and then he had a guy saran wrap a big ass bag of ice on his back while his teammates were celebrating. And all you heard him say afterwards, while they're singing and dancing, whatever they were doing, is, "Boy, am I tired."
Yeah, he laid down. He was laying down on the ground.
He played 48 minutes, and mind you, I believe he was asked before the playoffs started, how many minutes you think you can go without a breather? And he was like, regular season, yeah, I'll do 48. In the playoffs, he said, I can't do no more than 41. Granted, he did pick his spots, though, in Game 7. There was times where he just kind of watched,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, like
do
when,
his,
like when he got the big block and he as the commentators put it, he was staring at the city of Boston.
It was strategic.
Instead of getting back on defense.
It was strategic in case
Yeah. Oh, Mark Jackson.
the ball
Oh,
came back the other way.
gosh.
That's smart. That's LeBron being smart.
You mean
The fuck?
You mean the laziest dude in the pickup games? He's a genius now. The guy who stays in the back and just says,
I don't know if
I'm gonna let y'all go 5-on-4 while I chill back here and
I don't know if anybody notices,
try to stop this fast break."
but just because he has a block every now and again doesn't make him a great defensive player. He stopped playing defense a long time ago. Trust me on that. For those who really know the game, you have to preserve yourself.
Yeah.
At 33, going to be 34 in December.
For this team, you have to.
And if the great coach Tyronn Lue is going to make you play 48 minutes on all 82 games in the regular season, he's going to have to pick his spots when he says, you know what, I'm going to take a couple defensive plays off and see if my teammates will respond. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, well.
You know who never takes defensive plays off? You know who never takes defensive plays off? Marcus Smart. That guy never takes off plays.
No plays off.
And Marcus Smart thinks that defense is going to get him all kinds of dough. He's trying to get that Evan Turner money.
Jesus.
When are these players going to understand that was a one and done summer? Okay, the cap
Turner
didn't.
hasn't been the same since.
The cap didn't hit another spike. Timothy Mozgov not going to make $50 million again in 2018.
What about Luol Deng?
Those years are over. Luol Deng isn't going to get paid millions just to sit on the bench
what about
and suck up the salary cap.
What's his name? He used to be in Toronto. Now he's in Orlando. Bismo.
Oh, Biyombo?
Biyombo.
Finished. Those years are done.
Never to be heard from again.
But if Marcus Smart is saying this, it's because someone's in his ear. Someone's saying something.
His agent.
Well, that's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah, trying to get that chunk.
My whole thing is, we know it's going to come down to him and Rozier. So if that's the kind of money he's getting offered, if that's how much it's going to take for the Celtics to retain his services, see you later, Smart. Forget it. Don't do it.
You're talking about
not trying to see the Celtics lock in Marcus Smart for $16, $17 million a year. No.
All right. So when you say down to him or Rozier, what are you talking about? Like when it comes to re-upping Rozier next year?
Yes.
Well, first of all,
yes. And if Rozier's commanding that kind of money,
first of all, the smartest thing, no pun intended.
Flip him.
The smartest thing for
trade him
for Marcus to do is take that qualifying 6 point whatever mil.
He's not doing that.
No, I'm serious. Take that. Because the only other thing that might happen, and it won't be what he's asking for, which is like apparently more than 12 to 14 mil. The only other thing that Ainge could do, and he could do this the same way he did it with Avery Bradley, is extend him. Give him a little bump. What did he make this year? 4?
He's not taking that bump.
Give him a little bump.
No.
Give him, I was always in the camp for most of the season, like, no, he's not worth any more than 8, 9. And then he came back for that little bit before he injured his thumb again before the playoffs. And I was like, all right, give him 9, maybe 10. And then from when he returned in game 5 against the Bucks up until game 2 against the Cavs, where the Celtics were 8-2 in that span, I was like, fuck it. Give him 12. I'm not budging from that.
I always said 12. I always said 12 to 14.
I'm not budging from that. Because from game 3 on, I think he might have lost some value. But I still would give him 12. But I don't know if the Celtics want to do that, because then you got to worry. You brought up Rozier for the next season, the next summer, but then you got to worry about Kyrie, because he's not gonna opt into that player option he's got. He wants a new deal.
Yeah, but you can. I think because of what happened in Game 7 and the fact that obviously he's going to have a very reduced role once Kyrie Irving comes back. I think you're going to see Terry Rozier's value fall right in between that span, 12, 13 million. And if that's how much if that's his ceiling, and the Celtics can bring him back for a 3-4 year deal for a secondary role, a 6-man role, sign me up. Do it. Get it done. Out of the two, which one do I prefer for this team? I would go Marcus Smart. All right. And I know you Rozier, Scary Terry fans might disagree with that.
Scary Terry's dead, by the way.
But what I'm saying is, because Marcus Smart is someone who's offensively limited for starters, and someone who's inconsistent. I guess you could say the same thing kind of about Terry Rozier. But what makes him the game-winning plays, I think, make him more valuable for this team. However, if we're talking dollars, we're talking about a difference between $6-7 million, then look, let him go. See you later, Marcus Smart. Bring back Rozier. You try to lock him in when you can. Of course, if there's not a deal out there that that you think you can win, and by a landslide, of course, with the Danny Ainge mentality when it comes to approaching trades. If you can't flip them, then bring him back. $12-13 million for your backup, for your 6th man, your Terry Rozier. But let's face it, the Celtics aren't necessarily short on guards to begin with. We're going to be seeing a bit of a logjam, or the way Brad Stevens has to divvy up these minutes gets a lot more interesting when you got guys like Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, Terry Rozier. I mean, those are the bulk of the minutes going to your backcourt. Those are your 4 guys.
I don't know. I mean, I think Gordon is more of a wing than a guard, and
they're interchangeable. You can say the same thing about Jaylen Brown.
But if you're not bringing back Shane Larkin, doesn't matter to me if they bring him back or not.
Yeah,
because you have Kyrie coming back, and then you have Terry, and then possibly Marcus Smart. Those are your 3 rotating guards, and then you can throw in Jaylen Brown a little bit in that mix, possibly Gordon Hayward, but then I think another guy that's going to lose minutes, and he wants actually a more increased role, would be Marcus Morris. Because now Jason Tatum has arrived. At this point, he might even be your 2nd best player. For someone who led the team in scoring all playoff long, and then obviously without Kyrie Irving, you bring Kyrie Irving back into the mix.
Yeah, my whole thing is, if you get the anchors for the second unit. If you got Terry Rozier and Marcus Morris, you're in good shape. And look, I like Marcus Smart. I would like Marcus Smart to be that guy. But if there's some, I don't know, Orlando Magic or whatever team willing to give him that 16, 17 million to be a starter or whatever, see you later. See you later. You lock in Rozier when you can.
I think it's possible. I've been preaching that all season.
Well, if he's saying this, then he's not just saying it just to say it. I mean, we've heard recent reports from Jackie McMullen who said that there's teams out there that are willing to give him that kind of money. If that's the case, then see you later. But I'll tell you this, that the Rozier stock right now is as high as it's ever going to be. So if you can't find a deal,
I think it took a little bit of a hit though in this.
The Game 7 finals. A little bit.
No, not Game 7. Just in the conference finals in general.
Maybe a tiny bit. But my point is that he's not going to get that kind of exposure again. I mean, assuming Kyrie Irving is relatively healthy throughout the season. You're not going to see Rozier be the starting point guard for 3+ months, where he was able to not only control the offense, but, man, he was a big part of it. I can't wait to see how he develops. I still don't know if he's going to be a guy who sticks around way down the road, but if you can somehow keep him in town for the next 2 or 3 years, this window, I mean, this is a championship team we're talking about. Let's face it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the NBA Finals or bust next season. That's it. That's pretty much it.
That's the only silver lining.
If this team doesn't make the finals, they failed. That's it.
That's one of the few silver linings that I got after this playoff run. One, Jason Tatum has arrived. Probably now your second best player. Arguably might be your first, depending on how they want to use him next season, how Brad Stevens wants to use him next season. And they're a championship contender without those two, Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving. So now once they come back, barring any major changes, I don't know. You think Danny Ainge is still going to be looking to make changes? He already said that he loves this team. He already said he's going to make like a handful of like tweaks. But for Danny Ainge, you never know what he's thinking. The future's bright, but you can't predict it with Danny Ainge.
He could be courting LeBron James. Who knows? Who the hell knows? One thing we do know is there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on around the NBA, so I can't wait to get into this last segment, the way we wrap up every single episode here at the Causeway Street Podcast. It is Joel's segment of In Case You Missed It.
In case you missed it.
Yo, real quick, though. Where the hell was Kyrie Irving in Game 7? I mean, I know the answer, but I just want to know why. Why? Why do you decide?
It's a weird dude, man.
In the middle,
it's a different kind of dude.
Of your team that you pretty much have been behind at home, at least, to possibly make it to the finals. You go, I'm gonna get nose surgery to correct my deviated septum now, because if they do make the finals, I'll still be at home watching it from there. Like, what was your thought process on that? That's just weird to me.
It's a weird dude, man. I'm telling you.
So does Jalen Rose have a point?
He didn't want them to win.
They didn't want them to win? Like, I think Terry would have needed some Kyrie, like, yo, cut the shit, guy. Like, just, like, pass the ball. Don't shoot anymore. I don't know. Take it to the hoop. I don't know. Something. Was that missing from Terry Rozier that night?
It was really odd.
That's just weird to me. You saw Gordon.
It's like, you guys,
Tice.
You think you can do this without me? All right, let's see if you guys really gonna do this without me. I'm not even gonna be on the sideline.
I remember asking that, and then then Mark Jackson read my mind, like, this is Game 7. Like, it's right. He has a point. Like, where the fuck is this guy? At first, I thought maybe he's in the back, but no, he wasn't present at all. What a weird guy.
Hayward was there, saw him.
Well. A lot of stuff in the association. A lot of things. So in case you missed it, apparently the 76ers president of basketball operations, Mr. Brian Colangelo, has been secretly running 5 Twitter accounts to criticize Joel Embiid, Jahlil Okafor, Nerlens Noel, and Markelle Fultz.
Damn, Nerlens can't even catch a break.
According to a report published by The Ringer, an anonymous tip came to them.
No, shout out to them for doing their homework.
Real, dude.
Damn.
This anonymous tip that they got came to them back in February of this year. And they pinpointed, this was The Ringer now, they pinpointed 5 accounts that followed media members, Sixers employees, and NBA agents. And there was one that was active between April of 2016 through May of 2017. There were 2 others that were active within the past 5 months, while one was just posting several times a day as recently as last week. So on May 22nd, this is the dude that wrote the piece in The Ringer. His name is I don't think he listens to our podcast, so I don't think he cares if I butcher his last name or not. Ben Dietrich, he's the one that reached out to the Sixers via email and asked about 2 accounts in particular. And he got a follow-up call that same day from a Sixers media representative. They said that they were asked Colangelo about it. Now, this is only 2 out of the 5. They didn't talk about the other 3. Just 2. Just 2 particular ones. Right? They said they told the Ringer they were going to ask Colangelo if he had information about those 2 accounts that were spoken of in the email. That same afternoon, within just hours of that phone call, the other 3 that were never mentioned
Gone.
Have been switched from public to private. Essentially, the piece goes on about these collection of Twitter burner accounts. Aside from criticizing the players that I mentioned, they disclose medical information, decisions from the coaching staff, and calling out former Sixers GM Sam Hinkie. What do you think, Sway? Obviously, Colangelo denies. He's gone as far as saying that someone's setting him up.
Oh, no. You want to hear the update?
Shoot. Be the first that someone else updated me. But go ahead.
So this is not too long ago. They came forward and said that it was his wife that did it.
What?
Yes. Colangelo's wife is the one behind this.
Bum, bum, bum. What?
You know what that is, though. Babe, take the blame because I might get fired for this. I'm going to need you to bite this bullet because no one else is going to believe me. You always look at the spouse in cases like any kind of cases. You always look at the spouse to see if this person's involved. And he just pushed her right in front of everything. I don't believe that for 1 second. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm positive I'm not the only one. But that's the story he's going with. So we'll see how things unfold. We'll see what sort of digging the Ringer goes into, and not just them too, because they're under the heat lamp right now. Everybody's looking at them right now. So we'll see how this investigation plays itself out. Because the NBA is investigating, they're doing their own investigation. What's going on.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Sixers obviously they've launched their own investigation. Joel Embiid has gone on Twitter saying that this is hilarious, but he doesn't believe it. So I don't know how much process will be trusted now going forward in Philly. But can you imagine that for like the Celtics? Like if a story like that came out for the Celtics, I'd be like, what? Like I'd be confused. Number one, I'd be confused above all. But you talked about Philly fans when you were down there for the last series or 2 series ago, and they're so into their homegrown guys. And then you got the GM that's taken over and now gotten the credit for actually Sam Hinkie's work. Yeah. And you still want to trust the process now? And they're still going to, they're still going to go after LeBron.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think LeBron would want to go play in some place like that where he barely trusted Dan Gilbert? He's going to go trust someone like Colangelo? I don't know. That's just weird to me.
I think he still would. What else we missed?
In case you missed it, Gordon Hayward got a plate and some screws removed from his ankle.
Oh, I've been there.
And prior to that, he was actually already back on the court doing like one-on-one drills.
Yeah.
So
I was out there with him.
Successful. Nice. So successful surgery to clean up his ankle.
Yeah. Tib fib.
And according to reports, should be back in a couple of months to resume his basketball career.
I bet you his scar is not like mine.
Little too late though.
Hey, come on, man.
I'm just kidding. I want to see what you'd say to that.
You know what I think? I think they
was at Gordon before, man.
I think they made up that setback story just so everyone can shut the hell up about it. Like, no, he's not coming back.
No, you know what it was?
He went through a setback.
You know what it was?
It's done.
It was Stevens, man. You could tell.
Stevens has had it.
Look, I think it takes a lot for Stevens to get pissed off. But every little like Instagram post from Gordon or from the Haywards in general, because him and his wife
or Danny Ainge
would be like putting up pictures of him running or him playing with their children, and it's like he's coming back. That's the only reason why he's posting this. And Brad was like, "We just lost 3 games in a row. No, Gordon Hayward is not coming back. Like, relax with that. He's not. He's out for the season." And then Danny would go on the radio, was like, "Well, he's making good progress, and I mean, well, you never know." And then they're going back at it and ask Stevens again. Stevens says, "What the hell did I just say to you like 2 weeks ago? Like he's not coming back. I don't want to hear any more questions about
we're not
Hayward.
planning on him coming back. There's no game plan set." And then the narrative became like later on. Someone asked it again, like months later. He just goes, "Look, even if he's available, being basketball ready." Takes time. Like, just because you saw him on fucking Instagram taking a jog doesn't mean this dude's ready to play in the first quarter. Like, it's like, do you guys not know how this works?
But he was shooting.
Do you not remember the first game 1 of the season?
He was shooting.
Come on.
He was shooting from a chair though. Like, he's ready to come back. Like, even if he just comes in and just spots up and shoots, he should be ready, right? No.
And then we got Art Rondo telling us about when he's shooting from a chair.
He's like, if he didn't speak so proper, he would have been like, yo, he's fucking up his shit, man. He's fucking up his mechanics. He's going to be sorry when he comes back. If he comes back, he'll be back by training camp. That I can say confidently. He'll be back by training camp.
Here we go. So old Kyrie.
Quote me on that.
All right.
In case you missed it, I mean, I think only locally this would be able to be viewed, right? Unless you went on their website, but NBC Sports Boston.
Unless you're really a diehard Celtics fan.
For real. For those, I mean, and I have come across those that live out of state.
Oh,
and
of course.
Whatever like package they have, like cable wise, I don't know how they pull it off, but they're able to order that channel where they broadcast the Celtics.
That might be me one day.
But NBC Sports Boston aired the premiere of the 2008 Celtics championship documentary, ironically called "Anything's Possible," but KG wasn't in it.
Well, what's up with that? They're saying he declined to join. Well, obviously they must have asked him, but
KG
why?
And Ray wasn't. I wasn't surprised that Ray wasn't in it.
Really?
Shocker for you to believe.
You want nothing to do with that. Of course, he wasn't fucking in it.
But the thing was named after a quote.
He's done promoting his book.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the whole thing was named after.
So I'm thinking, and they were showing like, and I think they were just waiting for when the Celtics, playoff run ended, because they would never say when they were going to show this thing. Like during the playoffs, they were like, oh, coming soon. You're like, when the fuck are they going to show this thing? But Celtics season ends, and I think the next day they were like, this is coming on, and all the commercials that you saw for it, all the promotion was KG. And I was like, wow, this is going to be like some good shit, because like KG doesn't really do things like this.
Yeah.
And he really didn't at the end of the day. Decline, I don't know. I thought it was weird that he wasn't in it. But like all the other like funny stories from the other guys, and they pretty much got damn near everyone. Eddie House, James Posey.
Praise Garnett. Oh yeah, the whole team was on it. Yeah.
Fucking Big Baby Davis, who was high as hell on there. And yo, what's good with Tony Allen, bro? He's aged over the last year.
Yeah, you text me about that. I mean, I
don't know, man. That's weird, yo. Like you were just playing. It's not like Big Baby who hasn't been he's been out of the league for 2-3 years. Yeah, right. Tony Allen was playing earlier this season. How crazy would it have been if he was still on the Pelicans though during their little?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. He did start on that team.
I don't know if it would have made a difference against the Warriors. But
yeah, I would say this though. I think what surprised me the most throughout the entire documentary was that Big Baby, like I think he just finished smoking and then just said, "Yo, put the camera on," and just started talking about the Celtics. Like
he was the only one cursing, the only one that had his stuff bleeped out. But he was really animated though.
He was lit.
It was very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Say the least. Big Baby did not care about talking on camera fresh off of smoking. Like, damn.
Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe
No, he had at least one.
Maybe he popped the pill.
Probably two. He had two going at once. Like right before they started. And you know what's funny too? If you look closely
was a young buck?
Towards the end of the documentary, he's getting sober. Like you can see him.
He's coming down.
He's coming down.
Yeah.
What cracked me up is like they would all be talking about one thing, and then like everyone would like say their part, and then PJ Brown said their part, and then it goes to Big Baby, and then just be like this awkward pause, and then he would just be like, beep. He'd be like, it's like, wow, this is amazing. And like his hands are going to place, his head is going all over the place. I'm like, damn, Davis is losing it. Davis, put the weed down, man.
Yo, when they were talking about the arm wrestling between him and KG,
that was a good story.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
No one thought that KG could beat big baby in arm wrestling.
Yeah.
But let me tell you my favorite part of that whole documentary. When they're in New Orleans for the All-Star game, and they see Paul Pierce saying that he's in a limo.
Paul was drunk. Yeah,
Paul was in a limo. I mean,
Bourbon Street.
He didn't say that he was drunk or anything, but all he said was he's like, there's mad traffic. He's in the limo, and all of a sudden he sees like this big tall dude like walking across, like literally in front of his limo. He's like, who the hell is that guy? Realizes that it's PJ Brown. Rolls the window down, calls him over, gets out the thing, and he's like, "Yo, we can really use you this season. You know, let me get down your number." And when they panned PJ for his like part of the story, he's like, "Yo." All of a sudden, this tinted windows, limo comes up to me, and I'm thinking, "Oh man, this is gonna be a drive-by." It's like, yo, I fucking lost it, dude. I had lost it.
PJ was mad funny in the documentary. But it cracked me up because afterwards, when they approached him the next day, they're like, "Yo, I know you saw Paul the other night.
It was at a party, and and it was Ray that was like, "Yo, I know you seen Paul last night."
I know you might have thought you probably weren't taking him too seriously because he's like, I know he had a, people on Bourbon Street tend to, they have a good time when they go down there.
He said, "Yeah, that's what PJ was like. I didn't take anything." He said, "Serious." He didn't want to say like, "Yo, he was fucked up."
Yeah,
right. But he was like, Bourbon Street will do that to people. Just in general, when you come to New Orleans, you just have a good time. Paul looked like he was having a good time.
Yeah, that's what he said.
But it was Ray. He goes, if Ray didn't come out to me that second night and say that Paul was serious, he said we wouldn't be having this conversation.
He's like, I could have been Sean Bradley, and Paul Pierce would have been like, it didn't matter who was there. Paul would be like, "Yo, we could use you, man.
Been like
we could use you."
Eric Dampier, fucking could have been El Goskis walking down like, "Yo, we got a spot for you, bro." Me? So I thought that was funny right there. But I love the fact that it was like a good 5 minutes of all the other Celtics, other than Paul, talking about the whole Ray going to Miami thing. I thought that was interesting.
Well, Pierce said what he had to say about it. What cracked me up was how everybody was kind of clowning Paul for the whole wheelchair thing, and Paul wasn't smiling at all. He was just like, "Look, man, they brought the wheelchair out.
All right, didn't know how serious
I heard
it was.
something."
Yeah.
Like, Paul was like, "Yo, can I just have this moment? Come on, man."
Mark Spears.
10 years later, it's a good story.
Yo, Mark Spears. I forget how good Mark Spears is.
He's really good.
I miss Mark Spears.
Yeah, man.
I met him during the 2010 finals when he came back. We're already working for ESPN.
Yeah. He was great in this documentary. That was
saw
so
him
animated.
I saw him outside the garden, and I dapped him up. I was like, "Bro, man, I miss you here in Boston, man. Yo, these dudes don't know basketball like you, bro." He was like, "Oh, thank you, man." He was real humble dude. He still looks like he's a humble dude, but that's one guy that is dearly missed here in Boston for those that know basketball. I thought the documentary was interesting.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, like at this point, it's like, what haven't you heard about this team? It's been quite some time. This team has obviously been well documented, and
I'm just surprised.
What transpired throughout that season, what they had to face, the adversity they faced, and I like how they touched on what happened afterwards. And how close they came to winning the second one, and a lot of those guys, they even though they weren't on the team anymore, they felt like those are our brothers, and look at them go. They could get in a second one. And obviously, we know what happened in 2010.
Yeah, I think those other dudes know or feel that it could have been at least a second or third championship during that run. It is hard to just win one.
Perk, Pierce, Dog, they're like three-peat. That team could have three-peat. I mean, it's easy to say that now, but
yeah. But I mean, looking back on it, I heard them talking about it on the radio, and I forgot how poorly Ray shot in Game 7 in 2010.
Yeah, it was bad,
dude. If he made like two of those,
he was like,
it might have been a different outcome.
2 of 9, I think.
Something. It was awful.
Paul still won't watch that game. I don't blame him.
You haven't watched that game, have you?
I haven't. No.
I watched it.
It's not on my to-do list.
I've watched it once. Yeah, it happened to be on NBA TV the summer going into the next season. I was like, if I don't watch this now, I'll never watch it, and I haven't watched it since. It's
funny watching that entire documentary though. Reminding me of how important that injury was for the Lakers when Perk went down. It just reliving it, like game 6, and then heading into Game 7, and Rasheed did all he could do, but when he came down to it, they had so many second chance opportunities. The rebounding matchup was big in that last quarter, obviously, because the Celtics had pretty much led the entire game. I just remember, it brought back all these feelings. I just remember thinking, no lie, after that game, I was almost like, yo, fuck basketball. I was like, yo, how can you just be winning the entire game? Like, yo, they need to make this game shorter. Like, it should be like 38 minutes. Like, this is just ridiculous.
I just remember at halftime.
Like, I remember I was so in my feelings. I was just like, the sport needs to be tweaked. This is ridiculous. How can you be winning for so much, throughout, 40 minutes pretty much, or 41 minutes of the 48 minutes, and you lose? Like, you had a 13-point lead,
I just remember Magic Johnson at halftime. He was like, "Yeah, the Celtics got this.
Yes,
the better team."
And I was like, "No,
you, Irvin?
No,
out of all people, the fuck out."
I'm like, I should like this, but I don't like this at all.
No,
Magic giving the Celtics a championship at halftime of Game 7 in the NBA Finals. No, I don't want it.
And I think
I want nothing to do with it.
That was the last season of the 2-3-2 format in the finals.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't know if that would have made a difference, but.
Two makes a big difference, man. I'm telling you. 2 championships and one. When you get the second one, it's more of a difference. We had this conversation when Paul Pierce had his number retired. I don't know. I always say that him and Garnett would be higher on people's list of all-time greats if they got to. But hey, it is what it is. It was a great run, obviously, and great memories. Good documentary. I liked it. But yeah, KG was very sorely missed.
I'm just confused on why the Celtics never had those dudes or a good amount of those dudes come back just to be like honored the way like Fenway does like every season.
I feel like they might do something. I think they might do something at the beginning of the season. Everyone's gonna be really high up on Kyrie Irving coming back and Gordon Hayward and seeing this team.
They talking about something else?
Huh? No, that's just Big Baby.
Yeah.
Yes. Baby will have that on deck. Yes. You know what else too? They recorded that before he got arrested for all that bags.
Oh yeah,
because they would have been like, "Big Baby, you can't be recorded like this, bro. Like, listen, you got a court case coming up. They found over 100 grams on you, and you just gonna toke up in the studio and let us record you? Nah, man. Come on, man.
That's tough, man. That's tough. That's tough. It's almost tough as this Drake and Pusha T beef.
Oh man. This ain't even NBA. What time is it? Damn. This is going to be like a 48-minute in case you missed it. We should make this our own episode.
I just want to throw that in there. Just, something to think about for you guys who don't know. Rap is back. Beef is back. That ground beef.
Was Pusha T playing fair?
We talk about the first time or the second time?
Obviously the second time, man.
The second time, that's what, what else was he going to do after what Drake was saying that,
hey man, the gloves are off.
You ain't even, you're not even like, the
gloves are off.
You're the 5th best MC on your label.
Yeah.
I wrote songs for the guy who produced your album. I don't know. So he's like, oh, what do I got? I'll go the racial route because you wish you were black even though you're already half black, but you never met your father. But here you are being a deadbeat to an imaginary son that no one knows about.
He exposed
to
him,
a stripper.
Bro. He exposed him, bro. That's great.
We don't. It's not like 50. When 50 says this, he actually has proof. We haven't seen the proof.
What do you mean the proof?
Where's the proof?
Where's Drake laughing this off, saying this ain't true?
Where's the picture? Where's the picture of this so-called
and
stripper?
Why was he in blackface? Like, why did Drake agree to do that?
No, that's not Drake, bro. That's somebody else. That's not Drake.
That's Drake.
From where?
He did that in 2008. He was doing a promo. That's Drake. You didn't know that?
No.
Yes, that's the whole thing. That's the biggest thing. Like, why would you do that? You have to address this, Drake, and you know what? Like, you have to speak up about this. Why are you in blackface?
I don't know. It was him. I thought it was someone that looked like him.
No, that's him.
Wow. Well, the same way he got
that's my first of like 7 questions for Drake.
So, well, the way he dug up that picture, why didn't he dig up a picture of this so-called stripper who's his BM?
Well, there's pictures of them two together, but obviously you can't say like they have a kid together. But
anybody can just say you got a kid. Where's the proof? 50's the king of that. When 50 was like, yo, you're a corrections officer, everyone's like, what are you talking about? Bam, picture of him in a fucking corrections officer uniform. Yo, you used to beat your baby mama. Bam, here comes the BM talking about, yep, he used to beat my ass every day.
Well, you gotta wait for the bam then. You gotta wait for the other shoe to drop.
Bam, Well, we'll see.
I just think at the end of the day, Drake, and this isn't just Pusha T, I think there's a lot of things that people know that are sort of hush-hush between the industry. And Pusha T just exposed him, and I think he did it because he was like, "Listen, you want to talk about the Kanye thing and all that stuff." He's like, "You don't even write just you know what I mean." That's well documented that Drake doesn't always write his own stuff.
Yeah, but that's a ghost. Everyone has ghostwriters though. That's the only thing that rappers when they want to come at Drake, that's the only thing they talk about. But every time Drake comes back at you, yo, he ended Meek Mill, bro. The only reason why people talk about Meek Mill is because he used to be hanging out with Bob Kraft. Now he doesn't rap anymore. He's done.
He forgot he wasn't battling Meek Mill, man. Pusha T is a beast. I don't know.
Oh.
I think Pusha T's got Drake against the ropes.
I mean, I love myself some Common, but how relevant has Common been ever since Drake said what he said about Common?
Regardless, though, I'm just saying, like,
I mean, Drake, if Drake comes back, you don't know why it took him as long as it did for him to come back. Don't get me wrong, I love Pusha T, but like, where does this come from? Where does this come from?
Joe's really Team Drake right now.
No, I'm just saying, but where is this coming from?
Wow.
Where is this coming from, though?
What do you mean?
Where is this coming from Pusha T? Like, why all of a sudden you have a hard on for Drake?
Because Drake has always been like he says, top 5. Everyone's like, yeah, he's one of the best rappers, and rappers like Pusha T are like, yo, this dude is not a great rapper. Like, that's it. One, the whole writing thing, that's like number 1 rule in rap. Like, you have to write your own shit, and obviously he's been exposed for that. Whatever, it is what it is. You know, Drake makes the kind of music he makes. Pusha T makes the kind of music, like two completely different artists. But my whole thing with Pusha T is once you get into a beef with somebody, you start bringing up his girl, which is what Drake did. The gloves are off. You get exposed. And man, I don't know. Pusha T must have had that blackface thing in his back pocket, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Drake got a lot of explaining to do. Yeah, the clock's ticking. We'll see if he says something before the release of this podcast. But if he doesn't, that's even worse. We'll see.
I don't know if he was just trying to like push his album, which is only 7 tracks, to more of an EP than anything else.
Why are you hating so much on Pusha T?
I'm not hating on him, bro.
Team
I'm just
Drake.
talking about him.
Team Drake.
All right, whatever. I was just bringing it up just to say, like, get into it, but I wasn't really trying to have a conversation. Whatever. When I don't agree with you, then I'm team the opposite word.
No, because you haven't said one thing about how Pusha T bodied him. Like, are you kidding me?
When did he body him?
He had a black face.
But that's not bodying him, Sway. I'm talking about
and then he talked about how he
lyrically.
wants to be so black, and it's like, dude, you did blackface.
But that's so easy to go
racial. I
racial.
can't think of a black person who did blackface.
Okay, but it's so easy to go racial. Like,
when someone goes blackface, absolutely. It's like the worst thing to do.
That's just me. Whatever. Call me Team Drake. I don't care.
I don't know, man. Do your research. There's literally a photographer who's like, yes, we did the photo shoot. This is Drake. Like, but all right.
Cool. That's all I got for.
In case you missed it.
Thank you to all the listeners for all the support this season, of course, and CLNS Media for another year under their podcast umbrella. Make sure you follow us on all social media outlets and hit up CausewayStreet.com. You got my feelings on the Celtics Game 7 loss. Plus, will Ainge make any changes this summer, or should he stand pat, considering that he does have a title contending roster? All that, CausewayStreet.com.
Yeah, the good thing is like you don't have like a stack full of players that are off or not under contract anymore. We'll see what happens with Marcus Smart, but for the most part, I mean, this team's intact. I mean, you mentioned Larkin and Baines is off the books, but I mean, for the most part, you got this core intact. You got obviously 2 very, very good players coming back into the fold, and Celtics, can't wait.
Celtics are also willing to trade their 27th pick and their other chest of fucking picks as well to try to get La Bamba. What's his name? Mo Bamba?
Yeah. We'll see what happens there. And also, don't forget about Tice. I would have loved to see how this team would have looked with Tice in the mix, especially against the Cavs. Trust me, if Tice is available, Stevens goes 8 deep instead of 7, in my opinion. But I digress.
Or maybe still 7, but with Tice.
With Tice.
Tice is your 7th guy.
Sorry, Smart. You ain't playing, bro. What? What you mean?
I guess until next time, folks. Hopefully, by the next episode, the Warriors will have swept the Cavs in 3.
No, we'll see.
We'll see.
We gotta have a finals episode, so that'll be the next one. We'll see. Well, hopefully the series ain't over before we get our finals episode.
We'll just shit on the city of Oakland and the city of Cleveland.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun, and hopefully we can put to bed this damn matchup. If there's a part 5 to this, and shout out to whoever made that Family Matters part 4 promo.
Season 4.
Man. What was your favorite one? I kind of like the Kevin Love one because that was so 90s sitcom. Yeah. That little smirk, and he's sitting in like a random
the one white guy. Yeah.
No, not that. But I'm saying like that scene where he's sitting there and it's almost like he's in like an empty warehouse. It's like that's such a 90s little sitcom like promo or what do you call it, theme song video. And then of course J.R. Smith walking around shirtless. Oh, well done. All of it was good.
I forgot that dude was walking around in his uniform shorts for like a week after the Cavs won back in 2016. Weird. All right,
let's get out of here. We out.
Next time. Peace out.